Hi, everyone. Welcome, yogis. I am here with the Business Corner with Silvia Isachsen. Welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Change my view for the recording so that we're both on.
Sure.
Thank you for joining me. Silvia Isachsen is here for our Business Corner. She has written 2 books. And I'm going to check my notes. So one is on anatomy and physiology related to exercise. And one is on how to make money on Instagram. And she's also owned 3 online businesses, one on web developing, one on web hosting, and an online school. She is currently involved in developing lead magnets for list building. And if you don't know what that is, we're going to talk a little bit about it. And with developing sales pages. And that kind of gets into what we're going to talk about, which is a lot of people have managed to get a website up. And we'll talk about it if you haven't. If people come on and ask questions about that, we'll talk a little bit about how you get a website up. But I think a lot of people get websites up, and then what do you do with that website? How do you market it? How do you reach people? And we'll talk a little bit about that. Silvia, thank you. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. I'm so honored to be here. And we met not too long ago, as a matter of fact, and I felt some special sparks happening because you're authentic and you want to align who you are with your online business. And that's what I'm all about, is aligning who I am with the online business. With my experiences in the past, I did enjoy them thoroughly, but I have to admit that it wasn't exactly, or that is not who I am today. And who I am today is somebody who wants to conduct online business and help people get them from where they are to where they want to be, especially people who have the same thing as us, where they want to align their authentic self with their online business.
You said you had done all these online businesses. Do you have like some kind of computer science degree, or how did you get into that?
Well, at the time that I started, Suzanne, it was so rapid that here's what happened. I got a computer. This is really going to date me, but that's fine. I got a computer in 1997. And, I had 2 small children at the time. Now they're 24 and 31. And at the time, I needed to be home. So I thought, what can I do at home? And so I started to develop websites. And my husband at the time was a realtor. And he was a great realtor. So he had a lot of connections across Canada. So I started phoning up the companies, and I said, do you need a website? And they said, yes, I do. And so after
good business doing, those websites for realtors.
Yeah. So then, it progressed quickly. And what I found is that I needed a hosting company. So that evolved to, hey, I'm going to create my own hosting company, because the hosting company I was working with wasn't really always cooperating with me. They were very busy too. So I thought I'd create that. And then I came to a point where many people like you and I, and those of you watching, get to a point where you are working too much. And you start to think, it doesn't matter how much money I'm making. This isn't exactly how I imagined this to be. So I moved on, and I thought, okay, fitness and exercise was my passion. So I went back to university, and I wrote a textbook on anatomy and physiology and started a course based on the textbook. I did that for a while, and I actually did that for 15 years. I want to not go too far in here because this is about the people, but just so you have a background, I did that. And then one day I just didn't want to do that anymore, and that's the beauty of online business, is that you can sell your business, you can continue with your business, you can hand your business off to someone, you can change. And I think that our parents and their parents didn't necessarily have that opportunity to be as flexible and as evolved and as open to change with business.
So what are you doing now? Now you're interested in helping people to market. We talked about sales pages and lead pages. I'm not sure. I've been, for the past 2 years, I've been really learning about online business in a way that I didn't know before. And those terms were new to me when I started getting into it. Now I feel like I'm just starting to begin to understand those things. Can you talk a little bit about what is a sales page and what is a lead page?
All right, for sure. Well, first of all, I'll address the first question and then the second one, the technical part of it. Don't let me forget the technical part because I love it. But the first part is there's a lot of people out there teaching you how to create sales pages, and there's a lot of people showing you how to do a lead magnet. But I found that there's a lot of hyper energy involved in it, and motives that were different, not in alignment with what I wanted. So my goal is to create courses and to help people who are on the same page as me, who want to learn and develop it at, I don't know, what's the word for that I'm looking for? Something a little bit more peaceful and something that's not so anxious. There seems to be a lot of anxiety over something that's so simple. If there's anything I could do is to make it simple. So here it comes. A sales page could be on your website, for example. It could be separate. It could be in a software like ClickFunnels. It could be in a software like Lead Pages. So what I recommend people do, most of the people watching here today, and that's who we're going to address from here on in, they probably have a website. And on that website, they should have two things for sure. And actually 3. One is a lead magnet so that they can start list building and communicating and building.
List building meaning your email list.
Correct. Their email list. And I do like to call it an email list because most people know it as that, but I like to call it developing relationships. So when you're creating emails, you're developing relationships with people. So you are giving something, it's called reciprocity. You're giving a lead magnet, and not just any old lead magnet, but something that's really helpful to them that you've made for them. So they feel it's like an exchange, right? They feel good about it. Then the other part should be that you should have content on there, like a headline that's catchy that you know your people are going to resonate with.
And so I think, back not so long ago, it was common for people to have web pages that were pretty involved and would actually have a lot of content on them. Now, the trend has been toward somebody lands on your website and there may only be one page that they can access, or maybe 2 pages. Now, the website might be built in such a way where there's a lot of different ways to land, but there's a very limited options for people to take on web pages these days. Whereas in the old days, people were building these, quite complicated websites with lots of menus, and people didn't know where to go.
You're absolutely right, Suzanne. And I don't think it's like that anymore. A modern website is this, exactly what you said, minimal. You're going to have a one-liner with your headline there. You're going to have a subtitle, which is the transformation that's going to happen if the individual buys that product, and you're going to have a video there. I do believe, like, for example, if you guys out there watching right now were watching this and you didn't see me, it would not be as impactful as if you see the individual. You connect with individuals through their eyes, through their aura, if you want to call it that. And so video is critical. You have your video. That was the one of the 3. You have the title and then the subtitle, and that's going to attract the individual. So let me give you a quick example. If I started to talk about funnels and strategies and a whole bunch of deeper tech stuff, it might repel people who weren't at that level. So you have to think about your industry too. Exactly. Right. Who are you targeting, and what kind of language do they use? Right. So right. A good example of that, last night I was listening to a friend of mine do his webinar, and he was talking about copy, but instead of saying the word copy, like sales copy, he called it words that sell. And that's such an illuminating thing that he illustrated last night, because really he was targeting people who weren't familiar with sales copy, because he was selling a sales copy course. So he said, you must have words that sell on your website. So that's the next tip to our people. You must have words that will sell. And instead of, oh gosh, I hope I'm not going somewhere bad with this.
To speak in the local dialect. And he was, just really teaching people that. that same idea that you need to speak in a language that really communicates to people. I've been studying communication and really researching communication intensely for like the past, I would say the past year. It's been a big focus of mine, and I realized like, well, it's not enough to just say the words that communicate to me. I have to say, try to get my point across. I really need the other person. I need to speak in a way the other person will relate to it. You know, it's not enough to just, you know, do a good job of crafting a message if the other person doesn't think that way.
Exactly. And you know, there are strategic ways of doing things like reciprocity, and then getting to a pain point, agitating the pain point, so on and so forth. This is where there's a conflict for me, because even though I know that those tactics do work, that's not in alignment with my personal belief system. I think that the conversation that you have on your website should be truly authentic. And if you have a great product, it's okay to use those systems, but to think about, like, for example, the word scarcity, I think that's where I differentiate myself. I mean, I spend my whole life focusing on abundance, and suddenly I have to think about scarcity. That doesn't resonate with me. But
If for people who are watching this who might not be familiar, a lot of these are sort of marketing terms and techniques that are really, you know, taught to people, that you want to tell people like, oh, you know, the sale's ending in 2 days, and, you know, or the clock. I've seen pages that have like countdowns ticking, you know, like, you better buy now because it's limited. And it's like, really, because it's an online course and I can literally give as many of these as I want.
exactly.
Like, I created the scarcity to make you buy it.
Yeah, and you know what? I think you're absolutely right. But I think that scarcity does have a place if there was things to back it up. Like, so if I told you, okay, Suzanne, this is it, tonight's the last night, and then I honored you, and I paid attention to you, and I made myself available to you, and I fulfilled my promise, then that would be okay. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. So
Well, I think that, you know, it's about, I've been studying all this stuff for a while, and not nearly as long as you have been, but I came to a couple of insights about some of these things. So first of all, that reciprocity thing that you talked about, I kept on hearing about these ideas of putting information out there, putting out little things for people to buy for, you know, free offers. And I realized that it was really just as simple as you are creating a relationship with people, that somebody, if you give something away for free and then people are interested in you, that you're actually just following up on your promises to them, that you are, you know, reciprocity.
You're trustworthy. You know, that, what is it? Know, like, and trust factor, right? So I've got an actionable tip for the people watching right now. I want to know if you have a lead magnet, and if you don't have a lead magnet, I want you to post the idea that you have. So whether you have one or not, post what it would be called and how it would serve your people. I would love to know what your lead magnet would be. And I would also, I mean, I know this is a lot of questions, but I'd like to know what your target market is, who your audience is. You know, there's all these words. How about, let's just say people.
So a lead magnet is like a free offer that you're giving away to help entice people to sign up for your mailing list.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And so what should be included? Do you want to have some tips that can be included in the lead magnet? Because I can tell you.
I'm all ears.
Okay. So in your lead magnet, if you use a program called Canva, or even Illustrator, whatever. Canva I like because it's so simple.
I like Canva a lot.
It's free. You know, I learned this tip. You can write your website down or your sales page down, create a link at the bottom. So if they've downloaded it and perhaps they've forgotten who they downloaded it from, your link going to your website is there. Here's another tip. If you have an Instagram account, go to your bio and put that same link there. And that way people can be directed. So People, like you mentioned before we started, most people have a website, they create it and they think everyone's going to come to it, and they feel disappointed because people didn't come. The only reason they didn't come is because you didn't invite them. So every time you do a live stream, or every time you send out an email, or every time you post on Instagram, refer to your bio link or refer to that link that they can go and find out more about you. And a lot of people will say to me, well, I don't, that's too much. I don't want to have an Instagram and a Facebook and this and that. Perhaps what you can do in that case, if you find that overwhelming, maybe you have the account, but you're just having links going to the place where you do hang out, your website maybe. And in your case, a YouTube channel.
Yeah, well, I have a Twitter channel. I have Twitter, and I've been trying to figure out Twitter. I'm sort of interested in Twitter, but it hasn't really, I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I just keep on trying it because I keep on thinking like one of these days I'll figure Twitter out. Yeah. I just started my YouTube channel, and I really like YouTube. I really like video.
Me too. I love video because it really connects. And also you have that star quality. Did I say that?
Well, in college, I produced a television show.
Wow.
And I worked, that was like my thing that I did for 3 years, was I worked I can actually operate every single piece of equipment on a video shoot. I can wire up the mic, I can wire up the whole set.
Oh my gosh, you love that too. I love that. You should see all the equipment I got here. We have to talk shopping. So now, before we go into that.
That's why I can be in front of a camera, because when I was behind, I could see what it takes to be on a camera. And then almost anybody who's worked behind a camera, they understand what it takes to, to be a presence on camera. It's a skill. You have to practice it.
Absolutely. And it requires confidence, but I think, confidence comes when you're passionate about something, which leads me to the next thing is I want to be able to be as instrumental to your people for the month of June. And if you want to do another one of these, I would be happy to answer questions and to listen to people's stories and find out where they're at, and they can share with me, and perhaps we can come up with some good solutions for them together.
Yeah, I think that's like what you're saying. That is the key. That has been the key to me in starting to get my business going, is realizing I couldn't do it by myself, and that there are certain things that I'm not strong at. And I've been trying to get, all these people for my friends to show them, like, here's a person who can talk marketing. Here's a person who can take over this stuff for you. Like, okay, it's fine. Like, you're a good yoga teacher. You don't have to be good at marketing and good at web pages and good at, accounting. You just need to find somebody that you can talk to about it, who can take those pieces on for you. And, it's not, everybody has a strength. And if you try to do it all yourself, you end up diluting your value.
I couldn't agree with you more. There is, however, a component of people that are called DIYers, and they're kind of my peeps. They like to do things themselves. So what I propose is that we maybe, if your people put questions down, I can create an actionable PDF, like a lead magnet, and you, me, whoever, either one of us, and we can give them step-by-step instructions, just brief little actionable things, not not something big, just small. Like, how do I change my Twitter link? Like my profile. How do I direct people to my website, or how do I upload a PDF? Something like that.
If somebody were getting started today and they were like, okay, I want to get online, what would you recommend that they would do? Would you recommend that they get like something like ClickFunnels?
Okay. So there's two parts to my answer for that. I like ClickFunnels, I do. But the first part is identify what business they want to do, because ClickFunnels There's no doubt about it. It's expensive. And to keep it going on without knowing what you're doing with it causes a poor relationship with it. Then I don't like ClickFunnels, but in fact, it's amazing. I'm glad you brought it up. But what we can do is first find out, we need to ask ourselves, where do we see ourselves in 5 years from now? What am I doing right now to get there? And maybe just write a couple. It's not technology, just write down a plan. I would like to see myself sitting in Palm Springs. I would like to, that's where I am right now. I would like to see myself swim every day. That's what I do. I would, you have to determine what your life is and then see if that business is in alignment with it. That's the first part. The second part, yes, ClickFunnels for sure is a great thing. And I'll tell you why, because you can create a page, and on that page, it's ideal to create a sales page. You can quickly, if you want me to go there, I will. Basically, you can create SEO, which is search engine optimization, quickly. You can add a Facebook pixel to retarget people who have visited it, because not everybody is going to sign up this time, so you can retarget them. So it does require a little bit more sophisticated knowledge about marketing, but definitely it is. How about something like Instapages, lead pages? I would say Instapages is easiest. Lead pages is intermediate. ClickFunnels is more advanced. If you guys want me to create a tutorial on here, no charge, I can do that for you, but that's up to you, Suzanne. You head it up.
I'm amazed at all the stuff that, I've been, hearing about all this stuff for a while, but I've just gone about it with the idea that it's all learnable, but I can't learn it all at once. And so I've learned certain things, and then, it's like, okay, like my Twitter account. It's just
yeah, I just learned.
I'm just like, one of these days it'll make sense. I'm just gonna keep on tweeting until it makes sense.
That's what happened to me with Instagram. I was like, how does this work? What hashtag? How come this person has 6 million? What? You know what I mean? It's like that, right? And I think we need to understand what social media is for. The long and short of it is if you look at social media as a way to develop relationships and as a commercial. Imagine back in the day, if you ran a commercial, the least expensive one would be $10,000 to $12,000. Whereas with all of these social media platforms, you can tell the world, you can invite them, come on over to my website. It does not have to be a certain way. It could be the way you want it to be. That's the beauty of it. No, I really do love it. When we talk about,
that's also like, it takes a while to figure out who you are, like when I first started, I've been trying to learn how to communicate with my mailing list. And when I first started, I would write these like super cheesy, like headlines, just like I see so many businesses doing, and then I realized, like, is that really like how I want to talk to my customers? Like, is that really who my business is and who I am? And I started really just writing things that were just more personal, more me. And I started getting people responding to it. And I knew then that, this is the voice. You don't know it at first. You have to play around. It's just like being a teenager, it's like, am I the kind of person who wears a lot of makeup, or am I the kind of person who barely brushes my hair? It takes a while to figure out what feels comfortable and
that's what I love about you. That's like, I've not known you for very long, but I love that about you. I mean, you just openly said you have to find out who you are. Not a lot of people feel comfortable demonstrating that type of vulnerability to know that's an actual point of evolution. It's actually a sticking point for people, because they're looking around to see, should I be like this? Should I be like that? But look at that person. And that's where, what is that saying? Comparison is the thief of joy. I almost, when I'm working on anything, I shut down my entire computer, unless I just have, like, I'm typing notes. I shut down things, because I even find myself thinking, oh, so-and-so, and there's so much to be distracted by. It's called shiny object syndrome. I think it's important to go back into the zone. And like you said, just be yourself. It's the best way to be. I mean, I found it's not stressful, it's authentic, and people like people who are like that. I see people all over online, and I think they're crazy. They're like 2 steps away. But pardon me if this offends anyone. There's one woman, she is so successful, and half the time I'm watching her, she's like dancing, and I'm like, what? Can I do that? You know what I mean? But I love it. I love watching. I can't stop watching it. And that,
one of my favorite YouTubers, she recently passed away, but if you want to see somebody who did this, a just incredible mix of, you know, being a real person, being a personality on camera, go to Annie Fees.
I got to write this down because
this is not something to do when there are small children in the room.
Okay.
The woman has a mouth on her. She had a mouth on her. But she did home cooking, and her kids were phenomenal. They realized the way she cooked, that the only way that you could do it would be to get a camera on her, because she didn't measure anything. There's not anything healthy, nothing, like nothing.
But you loved her. You loved watching it.
But she's amazing to watch, because it's funny because she has a mouth like a sailor, but she had a heart of gold, and it just showed. I mean, she's just an incredible mix of, there was nobody else like her. And she had millions of people following her on YouTube, and it was incredible. It's like, what? This is the craziest show. It's like a woman who's sitting there making fried chicken in her sink, and she's, you know, you're like, what? She has like, how, but they really.
The fact that you still remember her after she's passed away, her legacy, and the fact that she was being authentic, and you know, it's a fine line, right? It's just, again, you don't have to be too gregarious. You could be gentle, soft-spoken. You could be gregarious. You could be in between. You can be more formal, less formal. There's somebody for everybody online.
And I think that's been I want to talk about this part, because I think it's the part that turns people off about marketing and marketing themselves, is thinking that they have to become something slick and polished. And I think that it's more about just figuring out your message. And at first, you don't know what it is. It's sort of like you have it all in your head. And it does take a while to start to, you know, just put that information out there, and then start to be able to organize it and start to realize, like, here's my message. Here's the people I need to reach. It's not who you think it is.
Yes.
And until you start trying to reach them, you don't really know exactly where you're supposed to be, and that part of being lost. And then, but I just really want to encourage people that in order to do this, they don't have to turn into something slick or somebody who's a thief.
You are 100% right, and that was a big fear of mine. If you go and look at my YouTube channel, you'll see I look like a newscaster. It's so not me. It's so not me. I don't even want to go see it. I'm thinking of, you know, so I've decided just recently, I'm going to totally be myself on YouTube, because I'm going to go watch yours. But the reason I'm admitting this and showing this to you is because in order to get to what you just said, is to find who you are, you have to practice. And practice insinuates you're going to fail. So for example, when you're riding a bike, you fall down, and then you're like, oh my God, I did it. And then, you know, you don't know how to put the brakes on, you slam into a car. That is what has to happen. But not so many people want to see themselves failing. And I think we need to change our perception of what that means, trying, and we need to be more loving and charitable to each other and supportive. Yeah.
I like to go back to people who have YouTube channels and kind of see what were they doing, like when they first started. Like, I love this. There's a great YouTube channel called How to Cook That. And she makes these great, like, sort of fantasy cakes, and she has a lot of children that follow her. Everything's done with chocolate.
Cool.
There's a lot of chocolate on that channel. But when you go back to her really old videos, they're sort of done with an iPhone, and they're not as slick. Now she's gotten all the equipment, and she has followers, and she's gotten more slick and polished. She knows who her market is. But it's nice to go back to, you know, through those channels to the beginning ones and see yeah, they didn't have it all together when they started either. They didn't know how to put all the little captions up. They
Yes.
didn't know how to ask people to follow them, but they just started.
I mean, you and me just bounce off of each other. This is a good conversation for the people watching because there's so many gems in this. And I'll let you know, I have a green screen, a complete studio. I have it at home. I have a portable one. I have it here at this home. And guess what I'm using? This, and the reason being is because people connect with that. I look like, and it's okay to have my green screen. It's pretty darn cool when I'm doing a presentation. But when you're reaching out to someone on this authentic level, I think that's all it takes. Look at somebody like Gary Vee. Some people may know or not. Highly offensive, but highly followed guy. And I mean, I don't know where he is.
Yes.
He's in an alleyway. He's like, I don't know where he is. Gary Vee, he's a marketer today, and it's not necessarily our demographic. But anyways, you were saying about marketing. Yeah, I don't want to be perceived as a thief. As a matter of fact, the whole word kind of has a bit of a tarnish to it, doesn't it? What do you have to say about that?
Well, at my there's been an issue in the yoga world where some of the very successful teachers have been also in business. They've been not they have not been good business people, and it held me back a lot. For example, one of my yoga teachers he was scammed out of money by John Friend. And that was actually long before the whole scandal broke with John Friend. If people aren't familiar with
I don't even know who he is, but
he was the founder of Anusara Yoga.
Oh, yeah.
And he recently, I want to say it was a few years ago, where he was having sex with his students, and he was smoking a lot of pot. And
No, I have to get a tissue. Sorry, that was shocking.
it was a big thing. And now there's a whole lot. Bikram Chowdhury is in the news, and so there's always somebody who's out there. And I think that people are afraid that when they become successful, that they're going to be tempted to become like that, to become.
You just hit the nail on the head. I think that subconsciously at the deeper levels of our being, there are many of us afraid to put ourselves out there because we don't want to be perceived as or move in a scammy direction. And I'm here to tell you and everyone who's watching that it's okay to find your talents and share your talents and be compensated for your talents. You and I were both speaking before how you volunteered your time many times and how you didn't get paid for it. But in fact, rent needs to be paid, mortgages need to be paid, children need to be supported. And it's important for us to tap into those talents, use technology as a vehicle for a positive purpose. It is true. People are scamming people out there. It is true. But we don't have to be that. And we can represent the lighter, better, more authentic, and what's the word I'm looking for? Sincere.
Well, and also I realized that not only would it be possible to do it, but then I could actually, it's why my business is named SADHANA, which means excellence. It means, like a superior achievement, because I realized it could actually be part of the goal and the center of my business to actually be, a person who had that as part of it. I don't think so much about particular yoga teachers as my inspiration in business. I think about my neighbor. Mm-hmm. There's a person at my temple, and they own a little package store where they, they help people to mail things off, and they're super nice. And like, I love to support their business, right? Like, they're the nicest people. Of course, I want them to be successful, and he serves as the president of our temple, and everybody knows a business like that. Everybody knows the local coffee shop that does things. There was in Wilmington, North Carolina, a beautiful bread store that, like, any person could come in off the street and get a sample of bread
I want to hear what the people watching do. I want to know what their businesses are. I want to know how they feel about marketing. I would really love to be able to come back later tonight or tomorrow because it's getting a bit late now. And I know one thing about marketing is that people have, what do you call that? Their attention span is usually for 6 minutes, and we're at like 39 at this point. So I wonder if we should do this more frequently.
Yeah, let's wrap this one up, and I'll stay on with you after we stop the
Oh, I
recording.
love talking to you.
And then, but yes, I agree. It's sort of getting to be a long video, and then we'll talk a little bit about plans for the future. So
let's ask them what they want to hear next time.
yes, and so people who are joining us, to find me, you can go to SADHANA, SADHANA catalog.com, CATALOG, spelled the American way. And then also
they can find me here. They can find me here. They don't even have to go to my website. We can just do it right here. And
yeah, I'll just put the links down below the video for everything, so you can find us. And then there's also a Facebook group for Sadhana.
oh, and I hope to be part of your community if the people are all like you. I haven't had the opportunity to meet them, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and do you have a website?
I do, but I want them to go to your website, and I want to be your guest on here. I want to be.
Why not both?
Because I don't want them to go and see a whole bunch of complex stuff and distant. I want them to get to know me. I guess, you know, I'm going to be real honest with you. I'm going through a transition, and my transition is to be less technically oriented. I do love technology. I'll never let it go. I'll constantly learn daily. I love it. It's passion. But I want to combine it and marry it with my love for people and compassion. So I want you guys to know me like this and not the newscaster. So
okay.
let me update my website first.
Yeah, you're sort of changing, going in a new direction.
I sure am, and I'm so happy to have met you because it feels like home.
Yeah, I want to support you to do that, and that's exactly what I'm trying to get people to realize, is that they don't need to leave any part of themselves behind. And I only say it because I was literally like split in two a couple of years ago, and it brought me to a crisis point in my life. And now I just realized, like, I can't go forward like that. I'm figuring out how to be my techie geek self and my yoga self, and also be a friend to a lot of people. And all of that just feels like all of me. I don't want to go to work and leave part of me behind at home anymore.
Exactly. You know, maybe I'll wrap this up with asking you something. People, when they do find out the level of technology of which I go to, which is like insane, like, I mean, I drill down deep, and I really love it. They don't really anticipate that from me. I've been afraid to wear my necklaces that I do wear. Like, I love yoga, and I like being this bohemian, whimsical type person. But I always thought there was a disconnect between being professional and technical and knowing all these things, and I'm marrying the two together. Is it possible?
I had a dream when I started engineering school that by the end that I would dress the way I do now, and that my hair would be long, and that I could stand in front of a group of engineers and still be, you know, fully myself, because I go to work and, you know, I'm more rested, and I work in an engineering environment. It's like 90% men, and I cover up, and I do feel I'm very conscious of how I present myself at work.
Well, now we're all going to change, aren't we? We're all going to be super technical, super authentic, and we are. All right. Well, thanks so much for having me on your stream. And
thank you so much.
I feel better for it. You know, when you leave something you feel better for, I feel better for it, and I look forward to meeting your people.
Me too. I'm going to end the recording. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
See you. Bye-bye.